I don't know if you've ever had one of those moments where your whole perception of reality shifts in an instant. Like, 1 second everything makes sense, and the next, it's like someone flipped the table on your entire worldview. That's exactly what happened to me last Friday night. It started off like any other night out with the guys. Jake, my best friend since college, had been hyping up this new bar downtown for weeks. Bro, it's got like the best cocktails you've ever had. I swear it's like drinking liquid happiness. Jake wasn't a cocktail guy, so I was immediately suspicious. Turns out, the real reason he was obsessed with this place was that Emma, his girlfriend, loved it. And when Emma loved something, Jake made sure he loved it too. Now, don't get me wrong. Emma was cool. She wasn't one of those toxic, manipulative girlfriends who isolated Jake from his friends or made him change his entire personality. If anything, she was too likable, chill, funny, the type of person who could effortlessly slide into any social situation and own it. And Jake was obsessed with her. Which is why, when I saw her making out with another dude in a dark corner of that bar, my brain completely short-circuited. I blinked. I rubbed my eyes. I even did one of those dramatic movie double takes, just to be sure I wasn't imagining things. But nope. It was definitely her. Emma, the girl Jake had been talking about proposing to. The girl he worshipped. The girl who had just sent him a text saying, "Hope you're having fun with the boys. Miss you already." And here she was, kissing some random dude like Jake didn't even exist. My stomach dropped. I had no idea what to do. For a solid minute, I just stood there, frozen, trying to process what I was seeing. I wasn't drunk, so I knew this wasn't some alcohol-induced hallucination. It was real, too real. Emma making out, with a dude who was definitely not Jake. My brain went into overdrive. I started questioning everything. Had she been cheating this whole time? Was she just pretending to be the perfect girlfriend? Did Jake know about this? Maybe they had some kind of open relationship that he never told me about. No way. Jake was obsessed with her. He talked about Emma like she was the sun, and he was just some dumb planet orbiting around her. He would never be okay with something like this. Which meant I had to tell him. But how? I felt my phone burning a hole in my pocket. I could take a picture, get proof, but that felt sleazy, like I was some kind of private investigator instead of his best friend. Besides, even if I had proof, how the hell do you break news like this? "Hey, bro, hope you're having a great night. By the way, your girlfriend is making out with a stranger in a bar right now. Hope this helps." Yeah, that wasn't gonna work. Before I could decide what to do, Emma pulled away from the guy, laughing. She ran her fingers through her hair in that effortless, flirty way that I'd seen her do 100 times before, except it had always been with Jake. I felt sick. And then, just as I was about to turn away, her eyes flicked across the room and landed on me. For a second, I thought maybe she didn't recognize me. The lighting was dim, and I was standing near the back of the bar. But then, I saw it. That split-second flash of panic in her eyes before she quickly covered it up with a casual smile. She knew. And now she knew I knew. I had about 3 seconds to react before she did. My heart was hammering. Fight or flight. I could see the gears turning in Emma's head, the oh shit moment flashing behind her carefully curated expression. She was about to do something, and I had no idea what. So I did the one thing I knew would throw her off. I didn't react. No shocked expression, no dramatic confrontation, no frantic texting under the table. I just stared at her blank, unreadable, like I was watching a boring commercial instead of witnessing her cheat on my best friend in real time. That threw her off. She hesitated for half a second too long before excusing herself from the guy. I saw her murmur something to him, probably some bullshit excuse, before making her way toward me, her heels clicking against the sticky floor. "Hey," she said, a little too chipper, a little too fake. "What are you doing here?" I raised an eyebrow. "What am I doing here? What are you doing here?" Her smile didn't waver, but I could tell she was scrambling. "Girls' night, you know how it is." "Yeah, girls' night, right." She smelled like tequila and guilt. I glanced past her, back at the guy she had been very much not platonically interacting with. He had already turned back to his drink, completely unbothered. Either she hadn't told him she had a boyfriend, or he just didn't care. I turned back to Emma. "That your new yoga instructor?" A flicker of annoyance crossed her face. "What?" I shrugged, playing dumb. "I figured he must be your trainer or something. You were really getting a workout over there." Her jaw clenched, just for a second. If I hadn't been paying attention, I would have missed it. Then she did what cheaters do best, lied through her teeth. "That was nothing," she said, rolling her eyes like I was the one being ridiculous. "Just a friend." The classic just a friend excuse. I nodded slowly. "Cool, so you wouldn't mind if I told Jake about it." That did it. Her whole body tensed. She forced a laugh, but it was tight, strained. "Oh my God, you're being so dramatic right now. It was literally nothing. You're blowing this way out of proportion." I just kept looking at her, not saying anything, letting the silence stretch. Because the thing about people like Emma, they hate silence. It forces them to keep talking, to fill the empty space with whatever bullshit they can come up with. And the more they talk, the more mistakes they make. Sure enough, she kept going. "Look, I had a few drinks, okay? It wasn't a big deal. You know how bars are, sometimes people get too close. It's not like I planned it." Interesting, first it was just a friend. Now it was drunk and accidental. Which one was it? I decided to push a little harder. "All right, cool," I said. "Let's call Jake right now and let him decide if it was a big deal or not." Her face dropped, and suddenly the fake confidence was gone. "You wouldn't," she said, but there was no more bravado, just pure, unfiltered fear. "Oh, Emma, you really don't know me that well, do you?" I pulled out my phone and unlocked it. "Let's find out." She lunged. I barely had time to react before she was grabbing my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "Wait, please," she hissed. And there it was, the truth. No more excuses, no more fake laughter, just desperation. She knew I had her cornered. Now the real question was, what was I gonna do with that power? Emma's relief was almost disgusting. The second she realized Jake wasn't picking up, she started playing it off like this, all of it, was just some tiny misunderstanding. Like it was that big of a deal. Like I was just imagining things. That's when something inside me snapped. I shoved my phone back into my pocket and turned to face her fully. "Don't," I said, my voice low but firm. Her smile faltered. "Don't what?" I took a slow step closer, watching as she instinctively leaned back. "Don't act like this is nothing." Her mouth opened, but I didn't give her a chance to speak. "You cheated on him, Emma, right in front of me. I saw you." She went pale. I wasn't. "Shut up." Her mouth snapped closed. For a second, we just stared at each other. Then I leaned in, just enough so only she could hear me. "Listen to me carefully. You will not start treating Jake like trash to cover your own guilt. You will not start nitpicking at him, acting like he's the problem. You will not slowly tear him down to justify what you did tonight." She flinched. "If I hear you talk down to him, gaslight him, or try to make him feel like he's the bad guy in this relationship, I will tell him what happened." Her breathing got shallow. "You wouldn't." I raised an eyebrow. "Wouldn't I?" She swallowed hard, looking away. I let the silence stretch, let the weight of my words settle over her. Then I leaned back and shrugged. "Right now, I'm not saying anything, not because of you, but because this is fate." I gestured toward my pocket. "He wasn't meant to hear it tonight. That's the only reason I'm keeping my mouth shut." Her eyes snapped back to me. "But," I continued, "if you start treating him like crap, if you so much as raise your voice at him unfairly, I swear I will tell him everything." She clenched her fists. "This isn't fair." I laughed, actually laughed. "Oh, Emma, fair went out the window the second you put your hands on that guy." She looked like she wanted to argue, like she wanted to fight back. But she knew I had her. So instead, she just turned away, arms crossed tightly over her chest, and muttered, "Fine." I exhaled slowly, letting the tension in my shoulders ease just a little. For now, I had won. But I had a feeling this wasn't over yet. The rest of the night was awkward as hell. Emma barely spoke to me, and I wasn't exactly in the mood for small talk either. We both just sat there in tense silence, sipping at drinks we didn't want and glancing toward the door every few minutes like we couldn't wait to leave. Eventually, the tension got too much even for Emma. She muttered something about being tired, grabbed her bag, and left without so much as a goodbye. I watched her go, my mind still racing. She was shaken. I knew she was shaken. But was it enough? Was it enough to stop her from screwing with Jake's head? Was it enough to make her do the right thing? I doubted it. I tossed some cash onto the table, downed the rest of my drink, and left. The next morning, everything felt off. You know that weird sixth sense you get when something bad is about to happen? That heavy feeling in your gut, like you're about to get hit by a truck, but you don't know when. Yeah, that was me. I woke up to a flurry of messages from Jake. Not unusual, but something about them felt wrong. "Jake, dude, you up?" Jake, weirdest thing happened last night. Jake, Emma was acting super off. Jake, she came over way later than she said she would. And Ike, man, something just felt weird. Jake, like she wouldn't look at me, kept fidgeting, seemed kinda anxious. Ike. Jake, I asked if she was okay and she snapped at me. Jake, like full-on got mad for no reason. WTF. Jake, and get this, she said she needed space. Jake, out of nowhere. My blood ran cold. That was it. That was the pattern. The same old, tired-ass cheater playbook. Step 1, cheat. Step 2, feel guilty. Step 3, subconsciously start resenting the person you cheated on. Step 4, pick a fight so you don't feel like the bad guy. Step 5, gaslight them into thinking they're the problem. Emma was already doing it. I gritted my teeth, my fingers twitching over the keyboard. I knew what was happening. I could see it happening, and it was only going to get worse from here. I could let it go. I could just let it happen, let her dig her own grave, let Jake figure it out eventually. Or I could stop it right now. And that was when I knew. I was going to tell him. I didn't waste any time. I grabbed my phone and started typing out a message to Jake. My fingers moved faster than I expected, like my hands had already made the decision for me. Jake, listen to me. Something up with Emma. I saw her last night and it wasn't what you think. I need to talk to you. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the send button. I could feel the tension building in my chest, knowing this was the moment everything would change. I had already gone down the rabbit hole of doubt and suspicion, and now I had to pull Jake with me. Before I could hit send, my phone buzzed with a new message from him. Jake, I'm really starting to freak out, man. What's going on? It felt like a slap in the face. I hesitated, my mind racing. It was one thing to watch Emma lie and manipulate, but now Jake was in the same position, drowning in confusion. I was his best friend. He deserved the truth, the full, unfiltered truth. I pressed send. She was with another guy, at the bar, kissing him. I saw it with my own eyes, Jake. There was a long pause. Then a reply. Jake, what the hell are you talking about? I swallowed hard, watching the little dots on the screen as he typed back. Jake, wait, you saw her with another guy. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. This was it. I wasn't holding back anymore. Yes, last night. Right in front of me. I didn't know what to do, man, but now you need to know. The message sent, and the silence between us felt like an eternity. Finally, the 3 dots appeared again. Jake, you're not joking, right? I wanted to say something, anything, to make it easier for him, but there was no easy way to say this. I couldn't sugarcoat it. I wish I was, man, but I'm not. And then, as if the universe itself decided to turn the knife just a little deeper, I saw the notification. Emma had just posted a picture on her Instagram. A picture of her with that guy, smiling, arms wrapped around each other, a perfect little snapshot of betrayal. I clicked on it. The caption read, "Some friends just get you better than anyone else. Blessed." I didn't need to read any more. I knew what was coming. Jake, you're lying, right? This is some sick joke, right? I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes, even though I wasn't the one being betrayed. I wish it was a joke, man, but it's not. Jake, fuck. The next message was short, and it hit harder than I expected. Jake, I'm gonna call her. I watched as the dots appeared and disappeared again. My phone buzzed once more, and I knew what was happening. This was it, the moment everything changed. I could already hear the tension in Jake's voice as he called Emma. He was packing back and forth, the message still fresh in his mind, his confusion now turning into anger. I could only imagine the scene on the other end of the phone. Emma would be trying to talk her way out of it, but she wasn't going to get away this time, not with the truth staring her in the face. The phone rang, then went to voicemail. I saw Jake's fist clench as he stared at the screen, frustration building up with each passing second. He tried again. And again. And again. Finally, Emma picked up. I couldn't hear her voice, but I could see the way Jake's face went pale, his expression twisting with disbelief. He was listening to her excuses, to her lies, to her desperate attempts to justify herself. The longer he listened, the more furious he got. I knew exactly what was happening. I could see it all unfold in my mind. Finally, he snapped. Emma, don't fucking lie to me. I saw the picture. I saw you with him. You think I'm stupid. You think I'm just gonna sit here and let you fuck around like this. He hung up the phone, the screen flashing with a message from her that he didn't bother reading. His hands were shaking as he clenched his jaw, his eyes burning with anger. She fucking did it, he muttered under his breath. She actually fucking did it. Before I could say anything, he grabbed his jacket, storming out of the apartment and straight to his car. I followed him. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I knew this wasn't going to end quietly. We arrived at Emma's place, and Jake didn't even knock. He just kicked the door open. "Emma," he shouted, his voice shaking with rage. "We're done." She was standing there, shocked, her face pale as she scrambled to find something to say. But Jake wasn't having any of it. "You thought you could get away with it." He stormed around the apartment, his eyes scanning the place as if looking for something, anything, to make sense of the betrayal. "I didn't mean to," Emma started, but Jake cut her off. "Don't," he pointed to the window. "I don't want to hear your bullshit excuses anymore. You think you can just lie to me and make me feel like I'm the problem? You think I'm fucking blind." Before Emma could respond, Jake grabbed the nearest thing he could find, a box of her stuff, and shoved it toward the window. The box flew through the air, landing in the garden below with a loud crash. "Get your shit and leave, now." Emma stood there for a moment, frozen. Then she scrambled, grabbing her things and throwing them out of the window one by one. It was brutal, it was messy, it was everything I feared it would be. But then, something shifted. In the middle of the chaos, Jake stopped. He stood there, breathing heavily, his chest rising and falling in quick succession. And then he turned to me. I don't even know who she is anymore, man." I placed a hand on his shoulder, looking him in the eyes. "You know who you are. That's all that matters right now." He looked at the window, then back at me, his expression softening. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Yeah, I know who I am." The silence that followed was one of those moments where the weight of everything seemed to settle into place. The storm had passed, and what was left wasn't the wreckage of betrayal, but a new beginning. Jake wasn't going to let this break him, and neither was I. We walked out of Emma's apartment together, leaving the past behind us. The future was still uncertain, but at least we knew it would be a future where we didn't let people like Emma define us. It was the first step toward healing, and it felt like freedom.